Brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, welcome once again to the broadcast. I'm Major Joseph Kirch, but my friends call me Tex. First, let us have a moment of silence for those who have passed in the last few days. Our problems are not their problems anymore. Secondly, let us offer a short prayer for those who find themselves trapped in the bondage of captivity. May they find freedom swiftly, and may justice find their captors. So, earlier on the last week, I had made another broadcast where I shared some thoughts with all of you about Blackpaw, Brotherhood, Duty, and Shadow Dancer. I had given them all some time after some encouragements. I believed that given the opportunity that each of these groups or people would take a moment to clear the air about something, to break the silence. In the case of the Brotherhood and Duty, to make some sort of gesture to help dispel some of the lingering doubts many of us have about them. Give an opportunity to Blackpaw to discuss with us the reasons that they have for their conflict with the Brotherhood and Duty, and why they have been attacking. And to give Shadow Dancer an opportunity to discuss with us the state of her situation. And for Ender, of course, to allow such a thing. I have not gotten any responses, save for denial and some more silence. I will address these quickly. Brotherhood and Duty, as I stated in my broadcast, believe that you would never truly side yourselves with the cult. That I believe that you had good intentions, and I will repeat that now. The Brotherhood and Duty absolutely have good intentions. The problem is that they are willing to make sacrifices for the good of their cause, for the victory that they hope to achieve swiftly. And the problem is that the sacrifices that they're willing to make are not on their sides. They're on ours. The lives that they're willing to put on the line and put at additional risk are not their own, but all of yours. Much like Blackpaw, who has decided in the past to side with the Gilligan gang temporarily as a distraction, as a feint, so as they could later deliver a killing blow. Brotherhood and Duty agreed with Casimir to let him leave, to walk away so that they could draw him back out with more cult members in hand, so they could strike a more decisive blow. And so they gave up the bird that they had in hand, with the promise that there were many more birds to catch in the bush if they allowed this one to leave. However, they were smart enough to understand that as a cult member who served Papa and therefore death and despair, they understood that allowing Casimir to walk away in that instance would lead to more deaths. That he would sow chaos, that he would take lives or instigate others to take lives, and in other ways do the will of Papa. And so the Brotherhood and Duty, in allowing Casimir to leave, even though their intentions were to lure more cultists into a trap later, they were willing to accept the losses of life that would occur. Just as now they are willing to accept those of you who die caught up in their war, not listening to their demands. Do I fear a day when Duty and the Brotherhood will attempt to place us all under their heels because they wish to have control over all of us for control's sake? No. I fear the day that they continue to deem more and more lives being lost as acceptable in pursuit of their goals. And I think that all of us should be afraid of standing behind good guys who are willing to put sacrifices on everyone else besides themselves. Blackpaw is perhaps a bit even simpler than that. Blackpaw said nothing. Blackpaw refused to comment on my broadcast. They refused to rebut. They refused to explain themselves. And so, we are now in a position where we're left to assume the worst, or the best if we're feeling generous. But methinks perhaps that Blackpaw doesn't really have any proper defense for the things that they've done so far. Nothing that they care to explain, nothing they think that we would understand or was worth saying out loud. So they've declined this opportunity to defend themselves in any way, other than with their continued silence. And that's a shame. Finally, Shadow Dancer has refused the 72-hour time to speak. Could be argued, as I said before, that Ender is not allowing her to speak and is holding her captive. However, I know, as I've said before in my heart of hearts, that Shadow could escape if she really wanted to. She said to me on the radio when we talked a while back that she didn't want me risking myself or my men to come and try to save her, that she didn't want that, and that she wouldn't allow that. And so, after some thought and much prayer, I've decided that she must feel that there's some value in what she's doing there. That she, as it has been said by Ender, perhaps she feels she is now doing penance. Perhaps she feels that she needs to suffer in order to gain redemption. But what is clear is that it is not for me to understand. It's not for me to approve of. And what's really important is that Shadow has seemingly found an opportunity to find redemption for her past. It doesn't matter that it's not in a way that I understand or approve of. It doesn't matter that she's not finding her redemption. What's important is that she's working toward salvation, toward some sort of clearing of her ledger. And if one of the groups that has previously cared the least whether she lived or died is willing to help her find that, then perhaps that's a good thing. The point of all this, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, the true point of this broadcast is that this conflict between the Brotherhood and Duty and Blackpaw is not a conflict between good and evil. It is a conflict between two groups that are enemies, that have visited violence upon one another, who have worked to discredit and disprove and besmirch one another, who have had enmity since day one. Blackpaw has frequently failed to demonstrate proper turnaround from some of their darker ways in the past of hunting men for sport. They continue to ally themselves with vicious and sometimes evil men, and they refuse to even defend themselves on the radio. While the Brotherhood and Duty certainly have good intentions, they are willing to allow evils in pursuit of those intentions. They are willing to allow others to be sacrificed in their war. And if they are not careful, they stand to lose their very souls in pursuit of their ends. And that's not good. So, my recommendation to all of you is to carry on as most of you have been and be very cautious about how you approach this and in what corner of this fight you find yourself in. Stay safe, be smart, and go with God.